You know that feeling when you've been played for a fool, but you're the only one who doesn't know it yet? I had that feeling for about 3 weeks. My wife's behavior changed in subtle ways. Longer showers. Phone always face down. New perfume she claimed was from Target, but smelled way too expensive. Late nights at work that somehow never showed up on her calendar. I'm not the jealous type. Never have been. But I'm also not blind. When someone you've been with for 6 years suddenly starts acting like they're auditioning for a spy movie, you notice. The question was what to do about it. Some guys would have confronted her immediately, demanded answers, started a fight. But that's exactly what she'd expect. And if she was hiding something, she'd just get better at hiding it. No, I needed proof. Undeniable, concrete proof. So I came up with a plan. About a month ago, I went to Best Buy and picked up a smart camera. One of those fancy ones you can control from your phone. The kind that streams directly to an app with crystal clear video. I also grabbed a small audio device. Nothing too sophisticated, just good enough to pick up conversations in a room. When I got home, I told her I was installing a security camera in the living room. She barely looked up from her phone. That's great, honey. Did you need help? I said no, that I had it covered, but mentioned I'd probably need to call a technician to actually get it working properly since the setup seemed complicated. That was the key, making her think it wasn't functional yet. I mounted the camera on the ceiling corner of our living room, positioned perfectly to cover most of the space. The audio device went behind a picture frame on the wall. Both were already fully operational. I just needed her to believe they weren't. For weeks, nothing happened. She'd glance at the camera occasionally, probably forgot about it after a few days. I started wondering if I was just being paranoid. Maybe she really was just stressed from work. Maybe I was the problem, being suspicious for no good reason. Then last Wednesday, everything changed. I was at my desk when my phone buzzed. A text from her. Working late again tonight. Don't wait up. Big presentation tomorrow. But here's the thing. I have access to her work calendar. We synced them years ago for scheduling date nights. There was no presentation. Nothing important at all the next day. That's when I knew. Tonight was the night. I called my buddy Everett. We've known each other since college. Good guy. Trustworthy. I told him I needed a place to crash for a night and that I'd explain when I got there. He didn't ask questions, just said his couch was available. I went home early, around 4 in the afternoon. Acted completely normal. Kissed her on the cheek, asked about her day. Then I dropped the news. Hey, I forgot to tell you. Boss needs me to fly out to Chicago tomorrow morning. Early flight. I'm going to head to a hotel near the airport tonight, so I don't have to wake up at 3 in the morning. She tried to hide it, but I saw the flash of excitement in her eyes. Oh, that's sudden. How long will you be gone? Just 2 days. Back Friday night. Okay, well, be safe. Love you. The words were automatic. Hello. I packed a small bag, making a show of being annoyed about the last-minute trip. Complained about terrible timing. She nodded sympathetically, but I could tell her mind was already elsewhere. I left around 6. Drove straight to Everett's place across town. He opened the door, took one look at my face, and grabbed 2 beers from his fridge without saying a word. We sat down in his living room, and I explained everything. So you think she's going to bring someone over tonight? He asked. I know she is. And you've got eyes and ears in your living room? Both fully functional. She thinks the camera is just decoration, that I'm too incompetent to set it up properly. Everett shook his head. Man, that's cold. What she said about you, I mean. Yeah, well, about to get colder. I pulled out my phone and opened the camera app. The living room appeared on screen, empty and quiet. The audio device was linked to a separate app. Both were recording automatically, saving everything to cloud storage. But I also had live access to both. So now what? Everett asked. Now we wait. The next 2 hours were brutal. We ordered pizza, tried to watch a basketball game, but I couldn't focus on anything. My phone sat on the coffee table, volume up, waiting for any sound from the audio feed. Around 8:30, I heard it. The apartment door opening. Her voice, lighter than usual. Yeah, come in. Want something to drink? A male voice responded. My stomach dropped. Not because she had someone there. I expected that. But because I recognized the voice immediately. Greg, our neighbor from the apartment next door. The guy I'd grabbed beers with a dozen times. The guy who'd helped me move furniture. The guy who'd borrowed my tools and always returned them the next day. Everett saw my face. You know him? Yeah, I know him. We listened as they moved into the living room. Greg's voice came through clearly. Hey, what's that camera up there? My wife laughed. Oh, that. It's nothing. Just decoration, basically. He bought it a month ago, said it was for security, but the idiot couldn't figure out how to actually set it up. He kept saying he needed to call a technician. Never got around to it. She called me an idiot. In my own home. To the guy she was about to cheat with. Greg laughed. Classic. So it doesn't even work. Nope. Just sitting there looking pretty. Good to know. Hey, maybe we should go to the bedroom though, just to be safe. Why? Nobody's here. Nobody's coming home. We've got the whole place to ourselves. There was a pause. Then her voice turned lower, more intimate. I've been thinking about this all week. I looked at Everett. He was staring at the phone, jaw tight. You good, man? I nodded. Wasn't sure if that was accurate, but I needed to be. Needed to stay focused. This wasn't about emotions anymore. This was about evidence. About proof. About making sure that when this was over, there would be no arguments. No he said, she said. No room for her to spin some story. I picked up my phone and opened the camera app. Time to see exactly what I'd been suspecting. The screen lit up with a perfect view of my living room. And there they were. My wife and Greg. Already kissing. Her hands pulling at his shirt. You ready for this? I asked Everett. Are you? No. But I'm doing it anyway. I pressed record on the camera app, separate from the automatic recording. Wanted a backup. Wanted multiple copies. Then I settled back on the couch, phone in hand, and watched my marriage end in high definition. What happened next, I wasn't prepared for. Not the physical act. I expected that. But what she said, the words that came out of her mouth, the way she talked about me while being with him, that was something else entirely. And it was about to get a whole lot worse before it got better. The first few minutes were just kissing, touching, the kind of thing that would have been enough evidence on its own. But I kept watching, kept recording, because some part of me needed to see how far this went, how deep the betrayal ran. Everett got up and grabbed 2 more beers, set one next to me without a word. The guy knew when to talk and when to just be present. This was definitely a silent presence kind of moment. On screen, things were escalating. Greg's shirt came off, then hers. They moved to the couch. My couch, the one we picked out together at IKEA 3 years ago. Spent an entire Saturday assembling the damn thing because I insisted we could do it without instructions. The audio was crystal clear. Too clear. I heard every word. God, I've wanted this for months, Greg said. Me too. Every time I saw you in the hallway, I just wanted to drag you inside. Your husband's a lucky guy. Or was I guess? She laughed. Actually laughed. Lucky. Please. He has no idea what to do with a woman like me. That stung. But I kept my expression neutral. Kept watching. Everett glanced at me, concern written all over his face. But I just shook my head. I was fine. Or I would be. Oh yeah. Greg's voice had that smug tone guys get when they think they're God's gift. And what does a woman like you need? Someone who actually pays attention. Someone who doesn't just go through the motions. Someone who makes me feel wanted, not obligated. I took a long drink of beer. Everett did the same. On screen, they were fully committed now. And then she started talking. Really talking. He's so predictable. Every single time. Same position, same routine. Like he's following a manual. A really boring manual. Greg laughed. Seriously? Completely serious. And don't even get me started on how he looks at me sometimes. Like he's so grateful I'm even there. It's pathetic. A man should take what he wants, not ask permission for everything. My jaw clenched. Everett noticed. You want me to turn it off? No. Man, you don't have to torture yourself with this. I'm not torturing myself. I'm gathering evidence. There's a difference. But he was right. Part of me was torturing myself. Because hearing your wife describe you like you're some kind of inadequate child while she's with another man, that hits different than just knowing she cheated. She kept going. And the worst part? He thinks he's doing great. He'll finish and look at me like he just won an Olympic medal or something. Meanwhile, I'm lying there wondering if this is really what I signed up for the rest of my life. Well, Greg said, his voice lower. How about I show you what you've been missing? Please do. What followed was worse. Not because of the physical act. That was whatever. Bodies doing body things. But the commentary. The constant stream of comparisons. The casual cruelty. Oh my God, yes. This is what I'm talking about. He could never do this. You like that? I love it. Why couldn't he figure this out? It's not complicated. Maybe he's just not creative enough. Creative? The man uses the same password for everything. Our anniversary. Like I wouldn't figure that out. Wait. What? I paused. Rewound the audio in my head. She knew my passwords. Of course she did. We'd been together 6 years. But why was she mentioning that now? To Greg? Unless. I pulled out my laptop from my bag, logged into our bank account, started checking recent transactions. Nothing unusual. Check the credit cards. Also normal. What are you doing? Everett asked. Just verifying something. I went through everything. Bank statements, investment accounts, even checked if there were any new accounts opened in my name. All clean. Either she hadn't done anything yet, or she was smarter than I gave her credit for. Back on my phone, they were still going. Still talking. I can't believe we waited this long, she said. We could have been doing this for months. Your husband's gone a lot for work though, right? Not really. He just thinks he is. He's so oblivious. I could probably do this while he's home and he wouldn't notice. That actually made me smile. Dark humor, maybe. But the irony was thick. She thought I was oblivious. Meanwhile, I was watching her in 4K resolution with stereo sound. So what's the plan? Greg asked. Is this a one-time thing or? I don't know. I need to figure out what I'm doing with him first. The marriage, I mean. You thinking about leaving? Maybe. I don't know. It's complicated. We've got the apartment leased together. Shared accounts. It's messy. What if he found out? She scoffed. He won't. Trust me. The man doesn't suspect a thing. He's too busy being his boring, predictable self. Besides, even if he did find out somehow, what's he gonna do? He doesn't have it in him to actually do anything about it. Everett looked at me. She really doesn't know you at all, does she? Apparently not. On screen, things were wrapping up. They were both breathing heavy, lying on my couch, looking satisfied with themselves. My wife stood up first, started getting dressed. I should probably shower before he calls to check in, she said. He does that every night when he travels. Like clockwork. Predictable, Greg repeated, pulling his shirt back on. Exactly. They moved toward the door. Greg stopped. Hey, this was good. Really good. We should do it again. We will. He's got another trip in 2 weeks. At least, I'll make sure he does. They kissed one more time at the door. Then Greg left. My wife stood there for a moment, checking her phone, smiling to herself. Then she headed toward the bedroom, probably to that shower she mentioned. I sat back on Everett's couch, set my phone down. The recording was still going, but the main event was over. You all right? Everett asked. Yeah. That was brutal, man. It was necessary. He studied me for a second. What now? I picked up my phone again, looked at the camera feed showing my empty living room, thought about everything I'd just heard, everything she'd said, the contempt, the disrespect, the casual way she talked about our marriage like it was some inconvenient paperwork. Then I thought about Greg, his smug voice, his willingness to betray what he probably called friendship, the way he talked about me like I was some joke. An idea started forming. A beautiful, poetic idea. What are you thinking? Everett asked, seeing the look on my face. I smiled. First genuine smile since this whole thing started. I'm thinking about how satisfying it's going to be when they realize that camera isn't decoration. And I'm thinking about the perfect way to let them know. How? I opened the Spotify app on my phone, checked our home Wi-Fi network. The music playing in our apartment was coming through the smart TV, connected to our network, the same network the camera was on. How tech-savvy is this Greg guy? I asked. No idea. What? Because I'm about to give him a problem only I can solve. And when he tries to solve it, that's when they're both going to understand exactly how badly they messed up. Everett grinned. Oh, this is going to be good. Better than good. This is going to be perfect. I pulled up my Wi-Fi settings and changed the password. Instantly, the music in my apartment stopped. I could see it on the camera feed. The TV screen went dark. Now I just had to wait for them to notice. And when they did, I'd be ready. About 20 minutes passed. The apartment stayed quiet on the camera feed. My wife was probably still in the shower, washing away the evidence. Greg was back in his own place next door, probably feeling pretty pleased with himself. I sat there on Everett's couch, beer in hand, watching my empty living room on a phone screen. Waiting. How long you think before they notice? Everett asked. Depends. If she's showering and he's gone, could be a while. But eventually, one of them is going to try to stream something or check their phone and wonder why the Wi-Fi isn't working. And then I execute phase 2. Everett raised his beer. To phase 2, whatever that is. You'll see. Another 15 minutes crawled by. I was starting to think maybe this would take longer than expected. Maybe she'd just go to bed. Maybe Greg wouldn't come back over. Then I heard it through the audio feed. Footsteps. My wife's voice calling out, "Greg? You still here?" Wait, he was still there? The camera showed him walking back into the living room from the hallway. Must have been in the bathroom. Yeah, just had to use your restroom. Mine's got a busted faucet. Oh, I was going to put on some music. Make some drinks. You want to stay a bit longer? Yeah, definitely. She walked over to the TV, grabbed the remote. Started trying to reconnect the Spotify. I watched her face scrunch up in confusion when it wouldn't connect. That's weird, she muttered. Internet's out. Greg pulled out his phone. Mine says Wi-Fi is disconnected too. Did you change your password? No. Why would I do that? It's been the same password for years. Our anniversary. The one she'd mocked me for using. The irony was almost too perfect. Maybe the router needs a reset? Greg suggested. Maybe. Ugh, that's annoying. He's the one who handles all the tech stuff. Of course this would happen when he's gone. She called me incompetent earlier. Now she needed me to fix her Wi-Fi so she could continue her affair in comfort. The universe had a sense of humor. Greg was still messing with his phone. Hang on, let me try reconnecting manually. What's your network name? She told him. I watched as he presumably tried to connect with the old password. Obviously didn't work. Yeah, it's asking for a password, but the old one isn't working. That doesn't make sense. Nobody changed it. I smiled, opened up my messages, found Greg's contact. We'd exchanged numbers months ago when he borrowed my drill. Time to light the fuse. I typed out a simple message. New Wi-Fi password. Watching you both 24. Hit send. On the camera feed, I watched Greg's phone buzz in his hand. He looked down at it. His face went completely white. What? My wife asked, noticing his expression. What is it? Greg didn't answer. He was staring at his phone like it had just delivered his death sentence. Which, in a way, it had. Greg? What's wrong? He slowly raised his hand, pointed up at the ceiling. At the camera. My wife followed his finger. Saw the camera. The same camera she'd dismissed as non-functional decoration. Except now, if she looked closely, she could see the small LED light. The one that indicated it was recording. Active. Recording. Watching. Her face went through about 5 different expressions in 2 seconds. Confusion. Realization. Horror. Panic. Pure, unfiltered terror. No, she whispered. No, that's not. It doesn't work. He said it doesn't work. Greg was frozen. Couldn't stop staring at the camera. At me. Because he knew. Somewhere in his head, he absolutely knew I was on the other end of that camera, watching him realize what he'd done. Oh God. My wife said, her voice rising. Oh God, oh God, oh God. She scrambled for her clothes, which were still scattered around the room from earlier. Started trying to cover herself, even though it was way too late for modesty. Greg finally found his voice. He sent me the Wi-Fi password. Your husband. He sent it to me directly. What? How? Why would he? Because he knows. He's been watching. The whole time. She looked at the camera again. This time, direct eye contact. I could see tears starting. Could see the moment it all crashed down on her. Every lie. Every betrayal. Every dismissive comment she'd made about me. All of it captured in crystal clear video with perfect audio. Please, she said to the camera. To me. Please, I can explain. This isn't what it looks like. Everett snorted. Not what it looks like. Lady, we watched the whole thing in 4K. I didn't say anything. Just watched her fall apart on screen. Greg was backing toward the door now, probably trying to figure out how to minimize the damage to his own life. Wait, my wife shouted at him. Where are you going? Don't leave me here. We need to figure this out. Figure what out? Your husband just caught us. He's got video. There's nothing to figure out. We're done. But I'm married, remember? I've got a wife. 2 kids. What the hell was I thinking? You didn't seem worried about that 20 minutes ago, I muttered at the screen. Oh, now you remember you're married. My wife shot back at Greg, her panic turning to anger. Real convenient timing. This was a mistake. A huge mistake. I need to go. A mistake? You said this was what we both wanted. You said. I said a lot of things. So did you. And now your husband has all of it on video. So yeah, mistake. Massive, life-ruining mistake. He bolted for the door. My wife tried to follow, but she was still half-dressed, holding her clothes against herself. By the time she got to the door, he was gone. She stood there in the doorway for a moment, then slowly turned back to face the camera. Her makeup was running. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. I'm so sorry, she said to the lens. I'm so sorry. Please come home. Please, we can talk about this. I'll explain everything. Just please come home. I closed the camera app. The audio was still running in the background, but I'd seen enough. Heard enough. Everett was staring at me. That was intense. Yeah. You okay? I thought about it. Was I okay? My wife had just been caught cheating. In our home. With our neighbor. She'd said terrible things about me. Planned to continue the affair. Showed zero remorse until she got caught. But somehow, I felt fine. Better than fine, actually. Because for the first time in weeks, I wasn't wondering. Wasn't suspicious. Wasn't second-guessing myself. I knew exactly what was happening. And I had every single second of it documented. I'm perfect, I said. Better than I've been in months. So what's next? I opened up my contacts. Found the lawyer I'd consulted last week. The one I'd seen just in case things went exactly the way I suspected they would. Next, I call someone who's very good at making divorces happen quickly when there's video evidence involved. Then I make a call to Greg's wife. She deserves to know what her husband's been up to. Joan, Everett said. Her name's Joan. Met her once at that building barbecue last summer. Nice lady. 2 little girls. Joan, I repeated. Yeah, she definitely needs to know. And then I go home tomorrow morning. Face whatever drama is waiting. But tonight, I raised my beer. Tonight, I'm going to sit here, enjoy this moment, and watch my carefully planned strategy pay off exactly the way I knew it would. Everett clinked his bottle against mine. To strategic planning. To strategic planning. I took a long drink. On my phone, the audio feed was picking up the sound of my wife crying in the living room, calling my phone over and over, leaving voicemails I had no intention of listening to tonight. Let her panic. Let her stew. Let her feel a fraction of what I'd felt when I started suspecting. When I saw the signs. When I set up this whole operation. Tomorrow would be interesting. But tonight was mine. I slept better than I had in weeks. Woke up around 7, made coffee with Everett, and checked my phone. 43 missed calls. 67 text messages. 12 voicemails. All from her. Deleted them without reading or listening to a single one. You really not going to hear her out? Everett asked, pouring himself coffee. What's she going to say? That it wasn't what it looked like? That it was a mistake? That she's sorry? I shook my head. I heard everything I needed to hear last night. The rest is just noise. Fair enough. When you heading back? Soon. Got a few calls to make first. The lawyer answered on the second ring. I'd sent him the video files at 2 in the morning. He'd already reviewed them. This is pretty straightforward, he said. With evidence this clear, we can move fast. She'll probably try to negotiate, but she doesn't have leverage. How do you want to proceed? Fast and clean. I want this done. No drawn-out drama. No back and forth. Present the terms. Present the evidence. Make it clear that fighting this will only make it worse for her. Understood. I'll have papers drawn up by this afternoon. Can you meet at 3? I'll be there. Next call was harder. I looked up Joan's number. Greg had given it to me months ago for some building emergency contact list. My finger hovered over the call button for a solid minute. Everett noticed. You don't have to do this right now. Yeah, I do. She deserves to know. Would you want to be kept in the dark if it was you? Hell no. I hit call. She answered on the 3rd ring. Hello. Hi, Joan. This is your neighbor from 4B. We met at the building barbecue last year. Oh yes, I remember. Is everything okay? How do you tell someone their spouse is cheating? There's no good way. No gentle approach. You just have to say it. No, everything's not okay. I need to tell you something about Greg. It's not easy to hear, but you need to know. He's been having an affair with my wife. I have video proof. I caught them last night. Silence. Long, terrible silence. Then, quietly. Are you sure? Completely sure. I can send you the footage if you want to see it, but I warn you, it's not pleasant. I've edited it to show just enough to prove what happened without being too explicit. Send it. I sent the edited clip. Heard her phone ping on the other end. More silence. Then I heard her breath catch. A small sound that could have been a gasp or a sob. Joan, I need to go. Her voice was shaking. Thank you for telling me. I need to go. She hung up. I sat there staring at my phone, feeling like I'd just dropped a bomb on someone's life. Which I had. But what was the alternative? Let her stay in the dark while Greg kept playing family man? That sounded rough. Everett said. It was necessary. You keep saying that. Because it keeps being true. I finished my coffee. Grabbed my bag. Time to face the music. Want backup? Nah. This is something I need to do alone. But thanks, man. For everything. Anytime. You need anything, just call. The drive back to my apartment felt surreal. Like I was heading into a storm, but somehow calm about it. Maybe it was because I'd already seen the worst of it. Already processed the betrayal. Now I was just dealing with the cleanup. I parked in my usual spot. Took the elevator up. Stood outside my own door for a moment, key in hand. Whatever was waiting inside, I was ready. I unlocked the door and walked in. She was sitting on the couch. The same couch. Still in the clothes from last night. Looking like she hadn't slept at all. Eyes red and puffy. Makeup smeared. When she saw me, she jumped up. Oh, thank God you're here. I've been calling and calling. Why didn't you answer? We need to talk about this. I can explain everything. I set my bag down. Walked past her to the kitchen. Poured myself a glass of water. Took my time. Stop ignoring me, she said, her voice cracking. Please, just listen to me for 1 minute. I turned around. Looked at her. You want me to listen? Fine. I'll listen. But first, I want to ask you something. Last night, when you were with Greg, you said I was predictable, boring, that I had no idea what I was doing, that I was pathetic for being grateful you were even with me. Do you remember saying that? Her face went pale. I didn't mean it. I was just trying to impress him. I don't know why I said those things. You said them because you meant them. People don't randomly say things that cruel unless there's truth behind them. So now I'm curious. How long have you felt that way? I don't feel that way. I was just caught up in the moment. For months, apparently. That's what you told him. That you'd wanted this for months. She started crying again. I made a terrible mistake. The worst mistake of my life. But we can fix this. We can go to counseling. We can work through it. No. No? What do you mean no? I mean we're not fixing anything. We're not working through anything. We're getting divorced. You can't just throw away 6 years over one mistake. I actually laughed. One mistake? You planned this. You waited for me to be gone. You brought him into our home, into our living room, and you spent the entire time talking about how inadequate I am. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. Multiple choices, actually. I'll do anything. Please. I'll cut off all contact with Greg. I'll change. I'll be better. I'm meeting with my lawyer at 3 this afternoon. He'll have divorce papers ready. You can sign them willingly, or we can do this the hard way. But either way, it's happening. You're bluffing. You wouldn't actually divorce me over this. I pulled out my phone, showed her the video file. I have 2 hours of footage, audio and video, everything you said, everything you did. You want to fight this in court? Go ahead. I'll make sure the judge sees every second. She stared at the phone, at the evidence of her own betrayal. You can't show that to anyone. That's private. Actually, I already did. Send a copy to Joan this morning. Greg's wife. Remember her? The woman with 2 little girls who had no idea her husband was next door destroying his family. Her mouth fell open. You told Joan. Of course I told Joan. What? You thought I'd keep your little secret. Protect your boyfriend from the consequences. He's not my boyfriend. It was just a physical thing. Oh, that makes it so much better. Thanks for clarifying. She sank back onto the couch. What happens now? Now? Now you figure out where you're going to live, because you're not staying here. This is my apartment. My name is on the lease. You've got until this weekend to pack your things and get out. Where am I supposed to go? Not my problem. Should have thought about that before you decided our marriage wasn't worth respecting. My phone buzzed. Text from my lawyer confirming our 3 o'clock meeting. Another text from a number I didn't recognize. Opened it. This is Joan. Greg just confessed everything. I'm filing for divorce. Thank you for telling me the truth. I'm sorry you're going through this too. I showed her the message. Looks like Greg's having a bad day too. Funny how that works. This is cruel. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. You want to see cruel? Cruel is what you said about me to another man while you were in our home. Cruel is planning to continue the affair. Cruel is thinking I'd never find out because I'm too oblivious. I'm not being cruel. I'm being done. She tried a few more angles. Tears. Anger. Bargaining. None of it worked. None of it mattered. I'd already made my decision. Already set everything in motion. By the time I left for the lawyer's office, she was still sitting on that couch, staring at nothing, probably realizing that her actions actually had consequences. Good. Let her sit with that. The divorce papers were ready when I arrived. My lawyer had done exactly what I asked, laid out terms that were fair but firm. She'd get some things. I'd keep the important things. And most critically, there'd be a clause about her inability to contest the divorce given the video evidence. She'll probably try to negotiate, my lawyer said. Let her try? I'm not budging. Good. That's the right attitude. With evidence this solid, you're in complete control. Control. That was the word. For weeks, I'd felt like I was losing control, losing my grip on my own life. Now I had it all back, and I wasn't letting go. The next 2 weeks moved fast. My wife signed the papers without much fight. Turns out video evidence removes any desire to argue. She moved in with her sister across town. Didn't ask for much. Couldn't really. Greg's situation was messy. Joan wasn't as forgiving as my wife hoped I'd be. She hired a tough attorney, went after everything. Custody of the girls became contentious. Finances got ugly. Apparently, Greg had been hiding money in accounts Joan didn't know about, which only made things worse for him when it came out during discovery. The building became uncomfortable for both of them. Other neighbors found out. Not from me. I didn't have to say anything. Joan told her friend Vera from 3C. Vera told everyone else. Within days, the whole building knew. Greg tried to avoid me in the hallways. Would literally turn around and take the stairs if he saw me waiting for the elevator. The few times we did cross paths, he couldn't make eye contact. Just hurried past like I might explode. One evening, I ran into Joan in the lobby. She had her daughters with her, both carrying backpacks. Looked like they were coming back from school. Hi, she said quietly. The girls ran ahead to the elevator. How are you holding up? Better than I expected. Worse than I'd like. She managed a small smile. The girls are having a hard time understanding why Daddy doesn't live with us anymore. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. Me too. But thank you for telling me. I know that wasn't easy. You deserve to know the truth. She nodded. Greg moved out last week. Got a studio apartment in the next town over. Probably for the best. Seeing him every day was torture. Yeah, I can imagine. Your wife. Gone. Moved in with her sister. Divorce should be final in about a month. Good. You deserve better than what she gave you. The elevator arrived. Her daughters held the door. Mommy, come on. Coming, sweetie. She looked back at me. Take care of yourself. You too, Joan. She stepped into the elevator. The doors closed. I stood there in the lobby, thinking about how one night, one decision, had destroyed 2 marriages and affected 2 little girls who did nothing wrong. But that wasn't on me. That was on Greg. On my wife. They made their choices. Everyone else just had to deal with the fallout. A month later, the divorce was official. I got the apartment. Most of the furniture. The financial split was fair, but tilted in my favor given the circumstances. My lawyer had been worth every penny. I changed the locks. Got rid of that couch. Bought a new one. Removed the camera and audio device. Didn't need them anymore. Donated them to Everett as a thank you gift. He thought that was hilarious. Life moved on. I focused on work. Spent time with friends. Started going to the gym more regularly. Not because I was trying to prove anything to anyone. Just because it felt good to have routines again. To feel normal. 6 months after everything ended, I saw her. My ex-wife. At a grocery store across town. She was with someone. Some guy I didn't recognize. They were laughing about something. She looked different. Thinner, maybe. Or just tired. She saw me at the same time I saw her. The laughter stopped. She said something to the guy. He looked over, clearly uncomfortable. They turned down a different aisle. I finished my shopping. Paid. Left. Didn't feel angry. Didn't feel sad. Didn't feel much of anything, honestly. Just felt free. And that was enough. A year passed. The divorce was ancient history. The apartment felt like mine again. Actually mine, not shared space with someone who didn't respect it or me. I heard through Vera that my ex-wife had moved to another city. Fresh start, apparently. Good for her. Greg was still around, but kept to himself. His visitation with the daughters happened at Joan's place or neutral locations. Never at the building. Joan and I became friendly. Not romantic. Just 2 people who'd survived similar storms. We'd grab coffee sometimes. Talk about mundane things. It was nice having someone who understood without needing explanations. Work got better. I took on a new project that actually excited me. Started dating casually. Nothing serious, just getting back out there. Remembering what it felt like to be wanted, not tolerated. The camera and audio equipment sat in Everett's garage. He joked about using them for his own place, but never did. Some tools are only necessary once. I learned something through all of this. Trust isn't naive. Suspicion isn't paranoid. And self-respect isn't negotiable. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. When they disrespect you, Don't wait around hoping they'll change. My ex-wife thought I was predictable, boring, too grateful for her presence. Maybe I was, but I was also smart enough to see the signs, strategic enough to gather proof, strong enough to walk away without looking back. She wanted someone who'd take control. Well, I did, just not the way she expected. Greg learned the hard way that betraying a friend has consequences. Lost his marriage, his daily access to his kids, his reputation in the building, all for a few hours of poor decisions. As for me, I'm good. Better than good, actually. I've got my space, my peace, my dignity intact. The people around me respect me because I respect myself. That's the difference. Some nights, I sit on my new couch and think about that camera feed. The moment they realize they've been caught. The panic in their faces. The instant understanding that their actions had consequences. I don't feel guilty about it. Don't feel cruel. I feel satisfied. Because I did what needed to be done. Protected myself. Documented the truth. Made sure everyone involved knew exactly where they stood. That's not revenge. That's self-preservation. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Life moved on. I moved on. And honestly, that's the best outcome I could have asked for. Not because I destroyed them, but because I freed myself. The rest was just details.